It's time for Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
Hey, want to be annoyed? Then you've come to the right place for a newly written classic hymn. Enjoy.
Oh, sacred neck, now wounded.
Stop the bus right there. This is Wretched Radio. That was Matt Maher. He happens to be a Roman Catholic who happens to be singing a new version of a classic hymn written in the Middle Ages, enduring the test of time because it's orthodox, perhaps one of your favorite hymns. O sacred head, now wounded, is now, O sacred neck, now wounded. Whilst you're enjoying this hymn, if you could do everybody on the planet a favor by trying to decipher who exactly is being sung about here anyway.
Oh, sacred neck, now wounded.
I'm guessing George Floyd.
Pressed down by blows and
Makes it a little more clear.
this Son of God surrounded
Now, well, that's Jesus.
by silent enemies.
Well, actually, no, Jesus wasn't surrounded by silent enemies because he was being taunted. I'm getting a little confused.
Will no one stop and listen? Will no one rise and speak of violence and oppression which hanged you from that tree?
Okay, apparently we're singing about Jesus, but it's difficult to tell in this, well, at least approved by one Gospel Coalition writer, brand new song that is being peddled on the evangelical market to encourage us all to believe in social justice. There's just one problem with that phrase, as there is with this song, and that is the blurring of words. This is huge what is happening as you see so much Marxism being introduced to your church. Words are being confused. Words are being redefined. You think it means one thing. They think it means another. And this is happening a lot. For instance, I hold in my never-before nicotine-stained fingers an article in Christianity Today that tells us John Calvin believed that justice is a form of worship. This is an article that is telling us, basically, it seems to me, as best I can tell, because it's kind of hard to tell what they mean these days, that John Calvin said this, that justice is not a distraction from or tangential to the Christian faith, but is integral to it. And you and I, of course, would agree with that, right?
Sure.
But the question is, what justice are you talking about? John Calvin, no doubt, was talking about biblical justice. He had no concept at the time of the social justice that we are seeing burning down buildings in the streets of America. He would have said that justice is God's justice, that he is righteous, that he demands justice, that if somebody does wrong, there is a payment for the crime, and that we are charged to do justly, that we are to act rightly, to not sin against one another. And so justice is God's justice, and justice can be how we treat one another, and justice can indeed be fair treatment in our society. Is that what is being meant by the word justice today? And the answer is absolutely
Not quite.
not. That's the issue. Don't you want justice, they say? And you say, of course I do. Great. Then join Black Lives Matter. Well, now, wait a second. Hold on. What do they think justice is? There is no question about it. One of the co-founders, she identifies herself as a trained Marxist. And that is what social justice means to them. And this particular article, as best I can understand it, because truly, It's a challenge to understand it when words, they're mere Trojan horses for different concepts. While this might surprise some people today, John Calvin believed that we must act justly in order to live piously. Yeah, right. Of course we should. That's biblical. That's what Calvin meant. That's not what is being meant today. Justice not only reveals personal piety, but also is a means of living piously. What's more, justice is the meat and potatoes of what it means to love others. Many modern evangelicals don't think along such lines. Well, no, actually, an evangelical does. But that doesn't mean that we believe in social justice. Please watch for this switcheroo. It is happening a lot. It is happening in churches. Maybe it happened in your church on Sunday. That we need to take a moment and think about what's happening in our culture and any injustices. And you go, absolutely. But what is meant by that phrase today? What it means is the entire system is kafritz. It was created by white men, European, heterosexual Christian males, for the sake of keeping them in power to oppress other people groups. And therefore, if we are going to have a just society, that whole structure needs to go. If that smells like Marxism, it's because that is Marxism. And that is what is meant by justice in common parlance today. That is not biblical justice. An encouragement, if your church is experiencing the battle that is taking place for your pulpit, the direction of your church, and what the gospel is, I cannot encourage you enough to ask questions. When you say justice, please tell me what you mean by that. And we most likely will uncover it has a different meaning than you think it does. And when that happens, in order to defend the gospel of Jesus Christ, we've got to speak out against it. Is this our favorite subject? No, because it makes you look like a racist jerk. But this is not about racism. This, in this instance, is about the gospel of Jesus Christ and making sure that the word justice is not being loaded with all kinds of unbiblical ideologies, which, at its worst, undermines what biblical justice is. And that should grieve us. That should grieve us. It's fascinating. The NFL. I watched. We were in a restaurant after church on Sunday, and of course,
you were watching sports at home.
There was sports on TV, and you can't go anywhere, and there's no restaurant. And by the way, hi California, our restaurants are open in Georgia. There's a TV on, and it's the NFL, and I don't know what network it is. It had the quarterback, the guy. I think he was from Pittsburgh a long time ago. Whatever network that is.
Okay. Fox. You're talking Terry Bradshaw.
That's the guy right there.
Yeah.
And you've wondered why Wretched isn't a sports radio program. And they were talking about social justice, and they were talking about Black Lives Matter. And they were just preaching it. They were preaching and preaching and preaching it. And then there was a song by Alicia Keys that went on for about 4 minutes with all kinds of video production, which, as my understanding, is what's being deemed the Black national anthem. I'm really looking for the Italian national anthem. And then maybe you're interested in the Scottish American national anthem or the German. And then you don't really have a culture. But the point is, I thought to myself, isn't it fascinating? What is football? It's a game. Therefore, their platform is a game. And they are using their platform of a game to preach morality. In the meantime, head down the street to your local evangelical church whose platform is supposed to be preaching, and all they're doing is playing games. This is not a joke. By the way, that's tweetable. That's tweetable right there. You can take that tweet and run with that bad boy right there. The NFL preaches when they're supposed to be playing games. The church is supposed to be preaching, and what are we doing? We're playing games. This is not a game. They are after your gospel. Need more proof?
Oh, sacred head discounted, lies crowned in locks and sweat.
And who are they singing about? Well, it was Jesus. No, it's George Floyd, I think. I can't tell.
See thorns and curls now found in your weeping mother's hands.
Here's one thing that I do know about the lyrics, as I can't really decipher about whom is being sung. They don't quite match up to the original, do they? This is not quite the elegant poetry that was originally written in Latin, translated into German, even made its way then to a third language, English. O sacred head, now wounded with grief and shame, weighed down. Now it's being rewritten as O sacred neck, now wounded. The intent of this, apparently, to blur the distinction between, I don't even know. And that's precisely the modus operandi.
Very confusing.
Let's confuse language, confuse words, and import utter garbage into the church. While the NFL preaches while they should be playing games, we should be preaching, and we are playing games. This is Wretched Radio.
Do 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 do. Thank you for calling technical support. This is Todd Friel, the wretch the song refers to. Could I possibly put you on hold for a moment?
Todd, we have talked about this. You cannot answer the phone this way.
Righto. Thank you for calling technical support. This is Todd Friel, the wretch the song refers to.